Hey, I'm Anastasia from Gardenworks, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about one of my favorite things to do at the end of the summer season, which is preserving my flower and herb harvests to enjoy through our drizzly and gray West Coast fall and winters. So there's two great ways you can do this, pressing and drying. So let's dive into pressing flowers. You can do this two different ways. The old-fashioned way with a big heavy book, which I'll show you how to do in a second. And the other way is using a microwave. What you would do is you would take your cuttings and place them between two paper towels with a microwave safe weight on top. I usually use a casserole dish, and you put it in there for about a minute and then at 30-second intervals until your plants and flowers are dried to the touch and they're nice and flat. So moving on to the classic method of using a big heavy book, you would use parchment paper instead of paper towel. This is because you want to protect your book, and it also draws out moisture from the flowers and plants. So the first thing you want to do is find a big book. A hardcover is best. And then you take your parchment paper, you find a page, you take your parchment paper, you lay that down. Then you take your pretty little pieces of plants, lay them down as well. Make sure they're not touching so that it's easier to pick them out when they're done. Lay a second piece of parchment paper on top, close your book, put some weights on there, and in 3 to 4 weeks, you'll have beautiful pressed flowers. So now that you've pressed your flowers and your foliage, you can do so many things with them, from resin art to using the edible flowers on cookies and cakes. Today I'm gonna frame them. We've got this gorgeous little glass frame with black metal around it on a little bit of twine to hang it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna open up the frame and start assorting my flowers into it. So next we'll move on to drying herbs and flowers. I like to dry herbs and flowers for culinary uses, making teas, and I like to dry certain flowers for bath salt blends for the winter time. So this morning I went out and picked some lavender. After the dew all dried up, you want to make sure that you're picking your herbs and flowers when they are dry. You don't want any moisture in there, and you want to make sure that you're picking small bundles. That's going to make sure that you don't have any mold growing when you're hanging them upside down to dry. So what you do is easy peasy. You take your bundle, you take a piece of twine or jute, and you tie them up. I like to tie them up near the top, and then I leave a little bit of string at the top so that you can hang it onto something. Now, the reason why you hang herbs upside down is actually because all the essential oils and all that good stuff moves towards the leaves and the flowers from the stems, and that's what you want if you're using them in teas and culinary uses. It brings out that flavor a lot more. So when you're hanging them, you want to find a cool, dry, and darker place in your home that has good airflow. So a small closet that's not in use or a basement would work really well. And if you don't have that, you can use a paper bag over them and tie that over. That's just going to keep the dust off and keep the light off of them. And the reason why you do that is because the light can fade the color quite a bit. So once you have them up and drying, you want to make sure you don't take them down until they're really dry and crispy, and that's usually about a 2 to 3 week period. If you can crunch them in your hand and they start falling apart, they're ready. So I hope this inspires you to try it yourself and make yourself some cozy teas for the winter, or possibly some nice bath salts to enjoy. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.